Kakadosh Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. We're continuing with the halachot of Kiddush. The last shiur we were speaking about a person that had to eat before Shachrit in the morning. So he said if he had to have a real full Seudah before Shachrit in the morning because he's sick and he had to take certain medicines, so he has to make a whole Seudah, he would actually make Kiddush before Shachrit even, right? Boripri Gefen, he would have his full meal with the bread and everything, and then he would continue, right? And then he would say Shachrit, and then Musaf, and then he would do Kiddush again. And the reason why we said that there's no problem of doing Kiddush again is because in the morning, since it's only Boripri Gefen, there's no Beracha Lavatala or Beracha Shenetzricha, and therefore, since there are opinions that you're only obligated Kiddush afterwards, right? So therefore, you would only do it afterwards. And technically, it's for sure usually after Shachrit, or there's a question maybe after Musaf. Still, to be Yotzei Chovad, according to some opinions, that you would do it before Shachrit, you would do it before Shachrit. Here now, the Halacha Brurado comes with a Chidush just to show you how important it is not to eat before saying Tefillah. Says the Halacha Brura, anything that we just mentioned in the previous Seif is only if a person, right, is that person has to eat before Shachrit, and he has to eat specifically at that hour, and he cannot wait whatsoever. But if he could wait a little bit, but he cannot wait until the tzibur finish their tefillah, it is better to pray by himself in the house, and then say Kiddush, and eat the proper seudah, and then go to the Bet Knesset to hear Kriyat Torah and Musaf, and that is better than actually eating before Shachrit, and then going to do tefillah betzibur in Shachrit. So here it's showing you the importance of the halacha about eating before the tefillah, as if to say that you wanted to eat it with a heter. So therefore here he's saying that if a person mamash, they need to come and they need to eat. But they don't have to eat right now. They could eat in half an hour, but by the time they're going to go to the Bet Knesset and pray and come back, it's going to be too late. And they have to eat in order to have their medicines. So therefore again, they would pray by themselves at home. Shachrit, they would eat, they would do Kiddush and do a Seudah, then afterwards go to the Bet Knesset in order to hear Kriyat Torah and Musaf. Afterwards, the next halacha is also going to be very important, which is to do with what happens if a person did not say Kiddush at nighttime. So for whatever reason it was, he did not say Kiddush at nighttime. And now, whether it's that he didn't have wine, right, or he didn't have bread, right, whatever the scenario was, he didn't do Kiddush. And now in the morning, he does have to do Boripri Gefen and which was for the nighttime. So here he says, nevertheless, he's still allowed to drink water or coffee or tea before Tfilat Shachrit of Shabbat, because it's the same halacha as usual, which means if before Shachrit on Shabbat morning, person wanted to drink water is always permitted any day of the week, right? And also on Shabbat, or a coffee or a tea, the same halacha would apply. They're allowed to drink before Shachrit. And then afterwards, when they're making up their Kiddush, they're going to do the two Kiddush. Basically, the Kiddush Boripri Gefen, but also Asher Shalom Saverat Sabanu, which was the Friday night, because they missed it. Now we're just going to go on to women in Kiddush and Seudat Shabbat. Women are obligated in Kiddush on the day of Shabbat, right? Whether it's going to be in the nighttime or in the daytime, right? And they're obligated to eat also Shalosh Seudot on Shabbat, and to eat bread, and to eat, obviously, as we say, the lechem mishne. They are prohibited to eat before Kiddush, whether it's on the nighttime, right, or the daytime, and they are equal to men, which means that to do with Kiddush, men or women are equal. Now, the only difference is going to arise, are they allowed to eat or drink before Shachrit on the morning of Shabbat? So here it says as follows. We already explained that women are obligated in the mitzvot of tefillah every single day. And Mi'ikar Adin, this is going to be a famous machloket between Sfaradim and Ashkenazim. How many tefillot are women obligated? The Mishnah Berurah wanted to pass like the Ramban that a woman is obligated in 2 tefillot a day, and the Maran and the Shulchan Aruch actually goes like the Rambam, which is 1 tefillah a day, and that is how Rav Ovadia Yosef is posek as well. Which means a woman is only obligated 1 tefillah a day. If they wanted to do more, they could, but they're only obligated to 1. And the one that we're talking about is the Amidah, the Shemona Esrei. Now it's proper, he says, that a woman should pray Shachrit, and she should say beforehand whether it's going to be Birkot HaShachar, she could also say Birkot Torah even better, and so on and so forth. But now the difference is going to be whether she prays or she doesn't pray. And he says like this, a woman that usually prays Shachrit every single morning, or she prays Shachrit every Shabbat morning, right? Whether it's going to be that a woman prays Shachrit every single morning, Or let's say you have this woman that she can't even pray every single morning Shachrit, but at least on Shabbat morning she prays Shachrit. She's allowed to drink tea and coffee on Shabbat morning before Shachrit, right? And even if it's a time of necessity, she could have even cookies or a cake, and nevertheless she shouldn't have more than a kabetza, right? Why? Because again, then she becomes like a man. If she's praying, just like a man prays on Shachrit and Shabbat morning, he's allowed to drink tea or coffee and water beforehand, so too she's allowed to do the same thing. The only extra heter that she has here is that she could actually have, whether it's going to be cookies or cake, until a kabetza, until 54 grams, right, of the cookies or a cake. Again, that's only in a time of real necessity. However, though, a woman that does not pray Shachrit, so now she's not allowed to drink even water on Shabbat morning before she does Kiddush or she hears Kiddush, right, on the cup, right? Why? Because if she doesn't pray Shachrit, so then the chiyuv of Kiddush comes immediately. If she prays Shachrit, so the Kiddush is only after Shachrit. So therefore, before Shachrit, she could have, whether it's the water, the tea, the coffee, even if in time of right necessity, even the cake. But if she doesn't pray Shachrit, so immediately she has the obligation of saying Kiddush on Shabbat morning. So therefore, what she would have to do? She would have to do Kiddush, and then she would be able to do it. He does say though, in Bishat Dachak, in a time of pressing need and extenuating circumstances. For example, that she's sick, so then she could be mekelet, she could be lenient, and she could taste and drink something before Kiddush, right? As we already mentioned, but then again, the halachot of a sick person is going to be a little bit different, and therefore she would be allowed in such a scenario to have, to eat and to drink even before Kiddush, even though usually she's not allowed to. So that's very important to do with women again, that women are obligated in Kiddush just like men. The only difference is in Shabbat morning, whether they already pray Shachrit or they don't pray Shachrit. If they pray Shachrit, so then they're exactly like the men. The only extra heter that they have is the eating of cookies and cakes and things until a kabetza of 54 grams. And if they don't pray Shachrit, so then they're immediately obligated in Kiddush, and then they would have to do it unless, whatever it is, Barminan, they're sick, so then they do have what to rely on if they're going to eat and drink before the Kiddush because they are sick.